Now, if you go to Tamale Current tomorrow, within Tamale Central, but for the boreholes that we have provided, the people in Tamale Central would have been struggling. And I would urge you to get your reporters, go visit Tamale, the boreholes that I have provided within Tamale Central. That is what the people depend on. Now, you have 3 individuals who are contesting to be elected for the Npp candidacy, parliamentary candidacy for the Tamale Central. They are my friends, but one of them is a very good friend of mine, the mayor.
Dr. Nash. There was this guy. What's the name of the guy? The NAPCO guy. At some point wanted.
Oh yes, Dr. Anyas.
Anyas
Yes, contested.
Yes. I don't know whether he's coming
back.
That
was I think the third time he contested for the Tamale Central. I mean, very popular than any of them.
Okay.
But Sule is my very good friend. But I know that, of course, they must all just attempt. One thing I can tell you, the MPP is bent of getting at least 1 seat in Tamale. Inshallah, I can assure them they can't get any of the seats in Tamale.
Tamale North.
Tamale Central, Sanargu, and then Tamale South. Tamale South is Honorable Harun Idrisu. Tamale North is Honorable Alassane Sohine.
Right.
Sanargu, the current MP is Honorable A.B.F. Hussein, but you know he lost the primaries to Ataisa, who is now the candidate. And inshallah, I'm for Tamale Central. One thing I can assure them, we are not just saying that they can't get any of the seats because we are NDC, but we have actually worked. And the people of Tamale Central, Tamale South, Tamale North, Sanargu, they are witnesses to the kinds of projects we have executed. And I can talk about Tamale Central. I came with a pledge to do at least 5 things. I never promised a lot. We organized free extra classes for peoples of BECs in the constituency. And that happened tremendously. And the reason why we did that was that the average pass mark for the BEC was around 32.3. Within the first year, we took it to 50.9. The second year, it went to almost 62 point something. And then the third year. So there are some direct correlation between the average pass mark for the BEC prior to me becoming the MP for the area and what we are experiencing now. We have a scholarship for medical science students. Moro, I can confidently tell you without a shred of doubt, we have 20 medical science students whose education is 100% funded by me as the MP. 20 medical science students. This year, the number is going to increase to 30. You know, that we haven't. Now, if you look at the water problems, the candidate who may win.
Yes, let me speak to your friend, Alhassan Dibaba. I'm told he's on the phone to tell us about how elections in that region is also shaping out. Alhassan Dibaba, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us as well. So which constituency are you in, and or which constituency have you been to, and what can you report?
Thank you so much. I've been to a number of constituencies within the region this morning, and I'm still going around. In fact, I have visited Tamale South, where 185 delegates are expected to cast their votes for 4 aspiring candidates. And I have visited Tamale Central, where about 885 delegates are expected to cast their votes for 3 aspirants. And in Tamale North, 585 delegates are expected to cast their votes for 2 candidates. So voting started normally this morning, and they are going about their businesses to ensure that the right candidates are elected for the party. But as a matter of fact, many analysts within the region are saying that even though they will elect candidates for those constituencies, especially those within the Tamale jurisdiction, the MPP as a party it will be difficult for them to snatch any one of the seats from the NDC. So at Tamale North constituency, in fact, this did not go without any challenge because they were sharing money within the premises or within the voting area, which did not go well with one of the candidates. And in fact, they approached the person who was sharing the money to delegates, and he slapped one of the people who asked him to stop sharing the money. That brought about some misunderstanding between the supporters of the 2 candidates, but they were able to settle it, even though there's still this suspicion that they are likely to fight seriously during the counting because many of them are taking interim positions against each other in that constituency, that is Tamale North constituency. Talking of Savlugu, there's also another challenge there because it is as though an indigene is contesting against a stranger. That is making everything difficult for the NPP in that constituency. And as a matter of fact, money is also speaking in the Savlugu constituency, which may end up electing somebody who is having money in that constituency than the other, because the former MP for the area, Mr. Samaru Gunu, won the seat for the NPP for the first time in 2016, but was not able to retain the seat in 2020 elections. But he is coming back again. But one of the presidential staffers, Ajia Fatahia, is also contesting him keenly in that constituency, that Savulugu constituency, and many people believe that Ajia Fatahia is very likely to snatch the candidacy from Samarugunu because she is more richer or she has resources than Mr. Samarugunu. But what we are also picking up from the grounds is that Savulugu constituency will be the only. Will be one, if not the only constituency that will be very difficult for NPP to do the reconciliation after their primaries, because the people are really pitching each other against, they are pitching themselves against each other, and that will be very difficult for them to reconcile after the primaries, because the indigents are feeling like Mr. Samarugunu is one of them and should be voted as a candidate for the NPP in the area. But as a matter of fact, as things are unfolding, it is very likely that he may not win the primaries, because some people are confessing that they have taken thousands of Ghana cedis. Others are saying they have taken fridges and many other items from the area. For that matter, the outcome is very likely to favor Ajia Fatahia, but reconciling or coming together as one party will be very difficult for them after the primaries. So, Umodo, that is what is happening within the northern region, and it is only 7 constituencies that are taking this vote out of 9 orphan constituencies because in Kumbungu, the DC is going unopposed, and in Sanargo, Madam Felicia Tete, the northern regional coordinator for school feeding, was also confirmed the candidate for Sanargo constituency to face it out with Ataisa, the candidate for NDC in that constituency. So, that is what is happening within the northern region, and we are still going around. If we are able to meet the other areas, we will give you more information about them.
All right, Alassane, thank you. Hello, Alassane.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, thank you so very much for that report. So we'll see how the elections would play out.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Alassane Dibaba is a reporter. Northern region. So I come back in house and continue. The Honorable Murtala Mohammed was okay. All right. So we'll just take a short break. We'll be right back.
Election Central.
Mommy. Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Choco toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Choco toothpaste, Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kel Choco toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Sorry anopa enam se me din nafa lady clean siesie me hunti no eni chi a me de sorry efrim pam eye sonko adwuma mu so me to make come me ho eye adwuma yie se ne yese enam se me din nafa lady clean eni siesie me ho so me po adwuma I can't or the best edem. Me stretch your cry and nam send me the Nafa Lady Clean and yes me home. Nafa Lady Clean, a feminine hygiene washer, a poor SSC or bar, what he fee, or mra won't think of one idea. Nafa Lady Clean.
Feel confident with Nafa Lady.
This advert has been vetted and approved by
Great tasting for your kids' enjoyment.
Angel Cola.
For your graduation enjoyment.
Angel Cola.
Beach hangout.
Angel Cola.
For all your refreshing moments.
Angel Cola.
For your parties, get-togethers, events, and celebrations, enjoy a chilled bottle of Angel Cola.
Radio Grandma, today is your day. Over to you.
Thank you.
Enjoyment Cola.
Angel Cola.
The Enjoyment Cola. Enjoy all your moments and fun time with Angel Cola. This advert is FDA approved.
For over 2 decades, the Ghana Club 100 Awards, powered by GIPC, has honored corporates Ghana for their immense contribution to the country's economy. It's been a story of splendor and prestige, as top 100 businesses are ranked for the outstanding performances in multiple sectors. It's time to celebrate corporate excellence once again at the 20th edition of the Ghana Club 100 Awards. Join us at the Grand Arena, Accra, on December 8th at 6 p.m. prompt. Purchase a standard ticket for 1,000 Ghana cedis and 2,000 cedis VIP by simply dialing *365*2100#. Ticket partner Koba. This event is sponsored by the KGL Group, B5 Plus, Ecom Ghana, Engine Ghana, Total Energies, Era Group, Enterprise Group, Zondatech, Eris Properties, West Coast Gas Ghana Limited, Federated Commodities, Republic Bank, FBN Bank, Glyco, Ghana Tourism Authority, National Lottery Authority, MNG Pharmaceuticals, Yango, Ghana Gas, VFS Global, Ghana Free Zones Authority, State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, Delta Airlines, Stratcon Energy, Margins ID Group, Runner Motors, Rankin Partner, KPMG, Beverage Partners, Say Cheers, Afro Beverages, Sahara Solis, Blue Nan, Pernod Ricard, Kehog Distilleries, Special Ice, Media Partners. Ghana Club 100, celebrating Ghana's business leaders.
In life, choice is good, but choice plus safety is way better. Your safety and comfort is paramount. Under the cylinder recirculation model, you can buy LPG in a safe environment. All cylinders are inspected and maintained to the best safety standards, so your safety is assured. Just take your empty cylinder to the nearest exchange point and swap it for a filled cylinder. Different cylinder sizes will be available to meet your pocket size. Imagine cooking in a smoke-free environment. This will improve the health and well-being of you and your family. Choose LPG in a safer model of distribution. Cylinder recirculation model, securing your safety, creating more jobs. A message from the National Petroleum Authority under the patronage of the Ministry of Energy.
Driving a taxi in Accra is like watching DSTV. The drama in the Uber Biwa. Last time, my passenger cried in my car, sir. Hey, she be pushing her papa. DSTV there, he go over you. Another one.
Magnifique. My child gets so many gifts, and that definitely includes the best of Christmas cartoons. Plus, it keeps her occupied whilst I get things done.
We watch the Premier League on Super Sports like we are in a stadium.
That was not an offside. Rashford was in an offside position, but he wasn't interfering with play. And Bruno scored.
This Christmas, dear, entertainment galore on DSTV. The contents just go over you. Dial *759# to reconnect or stay connected now.
And it's been given. Man can't tell her. Man can't tell her where you go. Ha! Are you go?
More than 80% of global trade is carried by sea. Most of the products we consume daily travel through ports, making them a key link in the global supply chain. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority is committed to ensuring the enhancement, resilience and sustainability of port infrastructure and maritime trade. Get to know which vessel is bringing your goods, how much duty you are required to pay and how quickly you can clear your goods from the ports of Ghana. We ask the relevant questions and elicit responses from the appropriate authorities. We interact with you via our social media platforms and put your queries across to the expert. Eye on Port shows this and every Sunday live on Metro TV at 5:30 p.m. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by and powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Iron Port, transparency in doing business and building a nation.
They say art is a symbol because man is a symbol. Symbols are a depiction of life. They communicate the intangibles and leaves the mind awakened by the wonders of life. Our folkloric symbol show talks about our symbols in connection to our history, religion, and society's norms and traditions, from the north down to the south and in between.
The animal is called le. But because they are found on the hill out there, the name of the hill became Legon, which means when you go there, you get more of the leg to hunt or you take them as game.
Join us on our folkloric symbol show every Saturday at 4 p.m. on Metro TV.
Central.
And this is Metro TV's live coverage of the Npp's Orphan Constituency elections. 111 constituencies, 111 candidates that are supposed to be produced by the end of the day. Voting is ongoing, and by 2 o'clock, voting would have ended. The counting and everything else would happen. We're told by 4 p.m. The party should know who are the winners and who the losers are. But usually after at the end of this event, you can't be very sure about the security post-event, especially when it comes to those who have lost and they feel they haven't lost legitimately. They'll try and create some problems. The party has actually issued a statement. Said anybody who does that, the security personnel should deal with them. But we need to find out whether that's enough. And that's why we would have a security person join us. In fact, we have a security person who's joined us to tell us whether he thinks that, well, not just the Npp, but generally the kinds of security arrangements that we make during such party activities is enough, or there's more that we can do. And also whether our decisions are punitive enough to persons who break the law. These are things that will be very interesting when I pick the thoughts of a security analyst who's also joined us. But Honorable Mutala, you were on the floor. You're telling us about the northern politics, and you're saying that the Npp appears to be very much interested in winning one of the seats in Tamale. You're telling them that there's no way they can win, not because you are naturally entitled to it, it's because you've worked for it. And you're also telling them that you're actually going to be, extending the gap in terms of what you got in 2020. So that's where you were when I had to interrupt. So please go ahead. Mm-hmm. In South. Sorry, your microphone is off.
The dynamics of the northern politics is completely different from the politics in the other regions, or other parts of the country.
Right.
And I said that within Dagbang, it is spectacularly different. I mean, a lot of factors come to play.
Okay.
But in all, and I'm happy my brother is here. He belongs to the...
And it's good you've done this because I need to introduce them.
Yes.
The camera is actually captured.
My brother,
so Elvis Bota is here.
Yes.
Elvis Bota is a man of many things. Yeah. I mean, he contested the Nadoli Kaleo constituency on 2 occasions. Yeah. He didn't succeed, but he's still a soldier. He still fights on. And he was also at some point the deputy to Sami Ewuku when he was national organizer. So Elvis Bota, it's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you so very much.
So
you're looking good, though, Charlie.
Yeah,
it looks like the government is.
Charlie.
Or you two some way.
The judge shall leave my face.
So you see, such a person, he's been there, he's done that, so he knows exactly what he's saying. And also, and there's a man who's also joined us here. He's Dr. Victor Doke. I hope I got the pronunciation of the name correctly. Doke.
Yeah.
It's actually Doke. Okay,
yes.
Right. So he's a lecturer with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center.
Yeah.
He's also with us here. There's other persons who will be joining us, but I will be leaving at 12:30. So my colleague Bright will be taking over, and then he will be interacting with the likes of Dr. Kennedy and so on and so forth. So that's how today's program has been structured. All All right, so Honorable, please.
So, like, I'm happy he's here. He also has some understanding of northern politics, of course. He is from Upper West and fair-minded, very intelligent young person, which I think that ought to be stated. You know, by and large, one of the factors, in fact, the most important factor which drives the support of individuals and group of people in northern Ghana for the NDC has to do with they are naturally responding to the effect of their support of political parties to them. And for me, the northern part of the country, people have acted rationally. That is how every rational group of people act. You provide us with certain basic amenities, naturally will be tilted towards supporting.
We show gratitude.
And like I said, gratitude. Like I said, in northern region, we used to experience electricity. By 7 o'clock, lights are out. Students could only learn using lanterns. We didn't have water. And as a young boy growing up, I attended Kulukulu School. I remember we used to go several kilometers to get water. The water was not even available. The roads, the infrastructure was terrible. So the reason why a lot of the people tilted towards NDC has to do with some of the infrastructure development they enjoyed. I've told you, my grandfather was one of the founding fathers of the UP tradition. You know, and my father never liked NDC. My father was a CPP man. However, I grew up, had a choice to determine whether I should support one political party or not. My father didn't like NDC because of the burning of the Tamale market. You remember one of the excesses of the June 4th, you know. But I look beyond my personal family hate and personal hate or effect.
And you made a choice.
And I made a choice. And I felt that collectively it would still be good to be with the NDC, looking at the collective interest of the people. So the factors that influence it have to do collectively. What did the NDC do for the people of the North? When the MPP came into office in 2000, in the year 2000, President Kufuor attempted to see how they could switch, if you like, the support of the people within the northern part of the countries and the Zongos. And you remember that was when they came out with this Nasara coordinatorship. Nasara wing of the party. Apparently, the NDs had a lot of support in the Zongos and were so comfortable, we didn't see the need to put in extra effort to be able to maintain the support we had. We felt that the people in the Zongo, in the northern part of the country, were with us. They were with us. Unfortunately, we lost guard. And that was when the MPP took advantage of trying to come out with some policy intervention. Unfortunately, under this president, we haven't seen many. And I'll give you an example. In 2016, you had Samira Baumia, who visited every single Fulani community in northern part of the country. And it's understandable because she's a Fulani. She visited every single Fulani community and made a lot of promises. And I can tell you that it had some impact on the 2016 elections, and which led to the NDC losing certain constituencies within the Zango no, even in the north, where you had huge Fulani settlers within those, those communities and the Zongo Unfortunately, between 2016 to 20, Samira never visited them. Samira did absolutely nothing. She and the husband did nothing to advance the cause and the growth and the interests of those in the Zongos and in the Fulani communities. And that explained why, even when they were attacked and justifiably, some were killed, they never even uttered a single statement. So that explains why in 2020, Samira could not go to those communities again, because what was she going to tell them? Unfortunately and sadly, she has started. We have had some communications with people within those and said, you came and then you tricked us in 2016. We voted for you. Between 2016 and 2020, nothing happened. We were even worse off. Now you are coming back in 2020. And the sad aspect, and I'm happy a security aspect is here. One of the most dangerous developments in our body politics is the ethno-religious politicking that is being done, spearheaded by Dr. Baumia. Samira goes to those communities. You know what she tells them? She tells them that vote for my husband because, one, he's a Muslim. Vote for my husband because I'm a Fulani. When the people know that they gave you the opportunity and nothing happened, and I think it's something that we must all collectively condemn, because it has security implications. The reason why Ghana is peaceful and we are like an oasis in turmoil is because of our level of tolerance towards each other, regardless of religion, regardless ethnicity. And in fact, Moro, as a Muslim, and you do know what Allah himself said, I think in Surah Al-Hujurat, that I have created you nations and tribes just for identification, and that the best among you is the most pious. So in the eyes of God, he created us, you be dark, I'll be a little fair, you are a Muslim, I'm a Christian, you are a white person, I'm a black person. Allah himself recognizes and stated emphatically that I have created you with those distinct differences, just that you can identify each other. I don't create someone to be white and someone is black because I have appreciated this particular color to this. I have done that for identification. So when you have such creeping into our body politicking, for me, it is extremely dangerous. Look, I do admit that ethnicity, race, cannot entirely be decoupled
from our politics.
And I'll give you an example. In the United States of America president elections, you remember in the year 2000, Al Gore chose a running mate. Al Gore's running mate was a Jew. And if you look at the voting of the Muslim community and the Arab community in America, they have always been voting for the Democratic Party. But the year 2000 elections, they tilted towards the Republican Party because of the one who was the running mate. And they are so profoundly attached to what happened between Palestine and Israel. Now, when Obama became the flag bearer for the Democratic Party, of course, traditionally, the minorities and the blacks in America have been voting for the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
But you had the huge percentages, numbers, voting for the Democratic Party when Obama became the president. So those things, you can't delink them. But what we all need to do collectively as players in this business is to do our utmost best to downplay the effect of it. Because if you are not careful, that can occasion something that we may not be interested in. And that's why I will call on everybody that those who are engaged in that kind of politicking, we must do everything possible to nip them. Unfortunately, the vice president, who happens to be the flag bearer of the NPP, and the wife are doing it with alacrity. They do it they brazenly do it.
Okay.
And to be very honest, some of the audios, when you listen to them, you just have to do everything possible to ensure that no any other person listens to them, because it is not only divisive, but it is extremely dangerous.
I get that.
But when you have people going to youth groups within the Muslim communities telling them that vote for Dr. Bawumia because he's a Muslim, when the conditions of those people have been worse off by the maladministration and the incompetence of the very person you are asking to vote for that particular candidate, I think it is worrying. So just to sum up, because I may not sit here longer, on the issue of the MPP parliamentary primaries, to tell you the truth, all these factors I've enumerated play, depending on which community. You know, I think one of the constituencies in Greater Accra, there is a problem why a particular candidate who is a sitting MP in Eastern Region, because Sami Oku is contesting her, they have asked, in fact, and I said this on TV, it is the presidency that actually asked the lady to come and contest in Ayawaso Central. The Ablekuma. Is it Ablekuma Central?
I think it's Ablekuma Central.
Ablekuma Central. Because it's mind-boggling. Currently, the person is a sitting MP of a constituency. Sitting MP.
Yeah.
Sami Oku comes to contest the person. And maybe the fear is that with Sami, she may not be able to win. The presidency decided to go and contest in a constituency where the former MP is also contesting. I think that sometimes the actions are just telling. For me now, I don't even know the position. Maybe perhaps my brother will be in a better position to tell us the dynamics there. I remember in the 2020 elections, the president went to Formina and said, "Mini independent and to me Juma." You remember? Mini independent and to me Juma. But they were forced to work with that independent MP because they needed the numbers in parliament. Now, per the MPP constitution, I stand to be corrected. You must be a member of that party
2 years.
2 years before you are eligible to contest for the parliamentary primaries.
Right.
Now, the moment he went independent, he forfeited his membership.
Absolutely.
So he ceased at that time to be a member of the NPP. Now you are left with less than a year. By the party constitution, he cannot be eligible to contest on the ticket of the NPP. So is the party going to come out with a special if you like, arrangement.
A waiver for him.
A waiver for him or not. And if they do so, will they then be fair to other people who took the same steps? Some people decided that they are supporting Alan. They have been sacked from the party. So if you are going as an independent candidate, it means that you cannot be fit enough to be a member of the party. So we are watching to see what the party will do. Now, within the Formina, we have picked information, and I mean, it's not even any secret information. MPP members there are angry that they think that the party is in an arrangement to allow the gentleman to contest. Is he going to contest as an independent candidate, such that the MPP wouldn't field a candidate? Or they come with a special waiver, which would make him to contest as the candidate of the MPP in violation of their same constitution. So I think that the coming days will be interesting to watch. But frankly speaking, you may not have a lot of security implications at this time because the primaries are taking place in Orphan Constituency. The stakes are not that high. The stakes will be very high when it comes to the primaries in
because the sitting MPs will protect their seats.
I am told that Kennedy Ajapong has threatened that there are some candidates he vowed that he will ensure they lose their primaries.
Wow.
Because those candidates never supported him. So if that is the case, how many Kens do we have in the party? There were some candidates, and you mentioned one, who had problems because they felt that he was supporting Alan. Even though now he's supporting Dr. Baumia openly, they still have not forgiven him for supporting Alan. A classical example is my sister, the deputy minister for finance, Abena. And Abena's case, I can understand. Abena's father and Alan have been childhood friends. So she took a principled and a moral position, considering the fact that, to the extent that even when she lost the dad, Alan was there for her in terms of some assistance. So Abena felt that under this circumstance, there is no way I can go against Alan. Will they field the candidate against Abena, which is most likely? Will they field the candidate against my good friends, the Subin MP, which is most likely? Will they field the candidate against many of them who were openly supporting Alan and those who didn't openly declare their support for Alan, but everybody knew that they were supporting Alan? So the days and weeks to come, if the MPP had done it now, for me, it would have been good for them. But to allow that and then to have the primaries next year in the seats that they have won, they may not have enough time to resolve some of the teething challenges and problems that may occasion as a result of the excesses. Because I foresee a lot of sitting MPs losing their parliamentary primaries. The good thing about this to the NDC is that when we went, about 27 of our colleagues lost the primaries. President Mahama quickly intervened. And I can tell you, those 27 members have all buried of course, if you lose primaries, the head, and they are supporting the sitting candidates. We were able to do that because we had enough time. They may not have enough time to solve some of these problems.
No, but the DS is coming off in January, right, Elvis? Yeah, for the sitting MPs.
You need more than 1 year to do that. And the fear is that if some of them go in and loses if they go into the primaries and lost, there are some policy decisions that the party they bring in parliament that they may not. Ajua Safo, my very good friend, Ajua and I were Miss in Legon. Ajua is contesting again. I was surprised that she's contesting again. Now, Ajua Safo's constituency. If Ajua Safo goes through the primaries and lost,
she loses.
Will she contest as independent candidate? I have heard some members who have said that they know that the system is fighting them. If they go and they lost the primaries, they will contest as independent candidate. I have at least heard about 2 colleagues of mine who said that they would do that.
So your point is that the real deal is with the sitting MPs, not with the orphan constituency.
The orphan, I mean, the
stakes
stakes are not that high. But with the sitting MPs and the fact that
that's where the action is.
The party was so, the stakes were high in the matter of the presidential primaries. That some are now thinking that, okay, these people are fighting against us. Some have indicated publicly that they have been threatened that will field the candidate against you. Some, like I said, Kennedy Ajapong, I'm told that he said that there are some candidates he would ensure that he gets them out. There are some who have had threat Now, if, assuming that those threats are true, they go into the election, even if nobody fought against them, the only conclusion and convenient conclusion is that, yes, because they threatened to fight against me, because I wasn't supporting the established candidate. And that is the reason why I have lost my primaries. How would such a person cooperate? More so in constituencies that the MPP won marginally. If you check the total number of constituencies they won, there were a lot of constituencies they won with just some small votes. I'll conclude on Zabzogo.
Right.
The NDC has won Zabzogo seats. The MPP won Zabzogo seat only 3 times since 1992.
Yeah.
Ironically, the current MP they have always used to win the Zabzogo primaries.
Okay.
All the 3 times they won it with this MP.
Okay.
Now, there is so much problem which I don't want to get into because it is very explosive. It borders on ethnic lines.
Okay.
So it's a place to watch. We believe they never won Zabzogo. We all saw the videos where the military men were standing and saying sign, and which they did.
Right.
What happens in those constituencies that the MPP, let's assume that they won, but marginally. Now there are internal rifts within the party.
Okay.
Now, and these are constituencies they won with small margins. And now there are problems within the party.
Okay.
Even if the sitting MP wins the primaries, those differences will be extremely difficult to solve.
Right.
And you need, because by June, we'll be focusing on the elections. So you have virtually 5-6 months to be able to find solutions to this. And I can bet my last penny, it will be extremely difficult. We are praying and hoping that they disintegrate them all. We are praying and hoping that the differences deepened, because politically, we are all supposed to be selfish. We are only concerned because we are all partners in nurturing this young democracy in this country. So we are watching with profound interest.
Okay. Wow. Someone was telling me the last time that Waka Mutala is not a lecturer. I said he's a teacher. When he starts his lecture, you have to give him a bit of time for him to land. But anyway, so let me come back to Mr. It's Doke, isn't it?
Yes. It's Doke.
I want to get the pronunciation correctly. Now, Honorable Mutala seems to suggest that, look, when it comes to these orphan constituencies, there's really not much to be worried about in terms of security because the stakes are not very high. And so perhaps our security agencies can relax a bit. I mean, do you agree with him? Or if it's an inter election, it's an inter election, whether it's an orphan or sitting constituencies, whatever it is, security must take it seriously.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning once again to my colleagues here. And from what we said, being analysts when it comes to peace and security and all that, when you look at conflict resolution, it doesn't really state that a situation or event has to be at some level before you deem it as a security threat.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a high-stake event.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, with what will happen before, during, and after these, with regards to these orphan constituencies, can determine what can happen aftermath. Okay, when you look at the internal wranglings of a political party, and let's not forget, these parties have a tendency to raise youths to become vigilantes to work for them.
True.
Okay, I've seen videos this morning with regards to some individuals wearing military apparels, okay, patrolling at the polling stations and all that. Question is, what are they doing? Who sent them? Okay, and the aspect when it comes to the video is also very intriguing in a sense that these guys are in a queue taking envelopes into their pocket. So there's a lot of question that comes into mind. Now, when you talk about security, yes, the police service is there to provide security.
Right.
However, it doesn't mean that we do not have to take the situation or the level of security has to be low, orphan or not. Because, as I stated earlier, what happens now will determine the effects, okay? Not only for the party, but nationwide. What can happen? It may trigger, right, into other areas. Now, it will be an example for other parties to also replicate. That we don't want. It's going to be a challenge for the internal security actors. So how can we ensure that this does not happen?
Okay.
We need to sensitize, educate. Do these parties themselves have mechanisms when it comes to conflict resolution and conflict management?
Right.
We don't know about it yet. Now, if they don't, now this is a very good avenue to start initiating or implementing these conflict
No, but the two
resolution
major
mechanism.
political parties have a conflict resolution committees. Typically, they have reconciliation committees, right, Honorable Mutala? They have reconciliation committees. So typically, after the event, post-event, the reconciliation committee moves into action and try and brings the losers and the winners together.
But you need a lot of time.
That I agree. But he was asking about whether the political parties actually have a conflict resolution,
mechanisms.
When you talk about conflict resolution, now it's not about picking individuals and then forming a committee.
Right.
You look at their capacity to influence.
Right.
Okay. Do they understand the dynamics?
Yeah.
Right? Not only per their party's constitution or whatever, holistically, the implications that can trickle from party to national. They need experts to be included in whatever committee or whatever they form. So it's not just about bringing people and saying we form a conflict resolution committee. There's a lot that goes into it. And then you need to build their capacity to understand the dynamics.
Should these persons be members of the party? Or you think ideally, for transparency, credibility, integrity reasons, these persons must be persons of straw? I mean, you must be able to see if somebody says, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're right, you're right.
Exactly so.
What do you think is better? Which do you think is better? To have the same party people being in charge of conflict resolution and also having assuming you were called upon to be a member of the conflict resolution committee. I mean, I don't know where you belong. So if you sit in that committee, you should be able to call it true. So you should be able to say black is black and white is white, and nobody's going to question where your bias actually lies. I don't know whether you get a point I'm making.
Yeah, I understand.
Because you're talking about the parties must have an inbuilt conflict resolution mechanism that goes beyond just the concept. But you must have people of a certain standing to be able to deal with conflicts as and when they arise. And I'm saying that should these persons be taken out of
the parties themselves, or should be from outside?
People outside of the party.
Now, to answer your question, personally, my key takeaway would be that you don't need to necessarily have to have people from the party in that committee.
Okay.
Now, when you talk about mediation and negotiation, right, you need a political person, a neutral-minded person who can direct the two actors. And now, when you have people from within, the tendency to have the correct mechanisms or approaches dealing with the issue will be skewed.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So you need to have a neutral person who can point the wrongs and the rights, get the interests of the actors, and then profess the solutions for the two actors now to agree and say, we accept, we move forward. Other than that, when you have internal people, definitely you would have some influences that may not go well for the decision.
That conflict will never get resolved.
No, it can't.
Yeah, because it's going to be, I know you. You are with this camp.
Exactly.
I know you are this fashion. That kind of thing.
Amuro, the difficulty with
resolving conflict
is that, you see, resolving a conflict in other areas is entirely different from resolving political conflict. The reason is that he made a point earlier which I think is fantastic, that you must find people who understand the dynamics of the party within the area. Okay? Now, you can get people who are experts in conflict resolution, but they may not necessarily have some knowledge or understand the politics, the dynamics of the politics in the area.
I get it.
So that is why what the political parties do, and I will use the 2008 elections, when the NDC lost elections in 2008, for example. What we did, in 2016, for example, they identified people within the region, like Northern region. They identified people within the region who are respected across board. They identified certain players within the various constituencies. So we didn't have strictly a body that is supposed to resolve the post-primaries and elections dispute.
Okay.
What they did was that they identified people within each constituency, the constituencies we lost.
Yes.
For example, Nantong was one of the seats we lost, and I was the MP. So what they did was that they identified people who were not directly involved in the primaries that we had. Because one of the reasons why we lost the seat had to do with the parliamentary primaries we had in 2016, and which, went into the elections where certain people voted in skirt and blouse and many others. In fact, they also identified people who were not actively engaged in the politics of the constituency, but who were associated with the NDC. Because if you get someone who is not associated with the NDC to come to a village to talk to the people, they will get more angry.
True.
So we don't have a specific group of people, but they identify players, people within the party. And we had one person from National who came, joined the regional team, the constituency team, and individuals who were selected to find solutions. Even with that, Doc, we went through a lot of challenges. I remember in 2020, I was no longer the candidate for Nantong. But look, I bought about 7 motorbikes for people within my former constituency. Just because I felt that they needed to support the party. And in fact, I had to move. I was moving between Tamale Central and Nantong constituency to campaign for the candidate. And some of them took transigent position. We are not going to vote for this particular candidate because we suspect or we know that he and his people, asked people to vote skirt and blouse in the 2016 elections, which led to your defeat. But you had to do everything possible. And you gave them the motorbike, use it, campaign for that candidate. And that's why I think even 1 year is too short a time. In fact, NDC, when we had our primaries, just these primaries, I told you about 27 of our colleagues lost. A lot of work. There are still some few constituencies. The party, the flag bearer are still working on the candidates. You may not have problems with the candidate who lost, but they are following. You realize recently there were some videos, people came in one of the constituencies in Tamale, they won't vote for the MDC parliamentary candidate because of ABCD. You are expected to find a lot of such after the MPP have their primaries in the constituencies that they have sitting MP. So I agree with that, but it will be difficult.
The
political parties for you to just look at aspect. Whoever you bring, given the aspect,
there'll be problems.
There'll be problems.
Doc, so I don't know. So that would allow you to land with your your prescription, which is have a conflict resolution mechanism. And in doing that, you also you would need people of a certain integrity for them to resolve it. But when you're done, you can then respond to the concerns he has about whether that would actually work. Or the doubts or the I'll call it the doubt he has about whether that will work. Please go ahead.
To round up. So in doing so, now you get these individuals to fuse with the party internal people that you have identified. Okay. Now you have to have some agreement. Okay. Now, what the neutral person would say, the decision that comes out will be binding to both parties. For the betterment of the conflict actors and then holistically the nation, because we are looking at the country as a whole, not only the parties involved. Now, to address his concern, conflict is very dynamic. Okay. You can have issues that can hamper or disturb the process. Okay, you've initiated a process with regards to resolution. Any kind of issue, okay, bordering on either ethnic lines or the results or whatever, can change the dynamics of that particular conflict. The onus lies on the individual, okay, and there are instances where even the neutral person cannot even understand what is going on, the dynamics or whatever. So that's why I said you need to fuse it. You have the fusion, and then that will enhance more understanding on the party side, on the individual side, and with that, you'll be sure to have results.
So
can I ask Doc, why not get the behind the scenes, the expert advice and guidance? Like, for example, the example I gave.
Yeah, but they have issues with the party people.
No, what I'm saying is that he's talking. I want to ask a question so that you can answer. Why not get the expert advice and guidance? How they should go by that work without necessarily getting people who may not have anything to do with the politics of the area to be involved.
It can work. However, we humans have a tendency to know that a group has selected to go and meet an expert outside comes back with a result. How do we know this is what exactly the expert said? Do you understand? The human being is very complex. So that's when some people would like to see that there's an expert or neutral person coming in, we all agree together, sit on one table, okay? And that expert has to be very neutral as much as possible.
Very professional.
Very, very professional.
Very professional.
Yeah.
Let me pick the thought. Evans hasn't said anything yet. I mean, I think we've taken him out of the conversation, not intentionally.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, sitting here, I don't know what thoughts have been going through your head. I mean, seeing some of your colleagues going through this exercise of, presenting themselves to the constituency to be elected as candidate. I don't know what has been going through your mind. And why is this Orphan Constituency election so important to your party?
Okay, so let me say good morning. Shall I say good afternoon, actually, to our cherished viewers? And, of course, the best of luck to all the various aspirants who are anticipating to be victorious at the end of the day. It's important we recognize that what is happening, though, is at a fundamentally the party level. It is also a democratic exercise that eventually counts to the kind of national reputation we are building in terms of our experiment democratically. And so we can only wish them the best of luck. But to be very honest with you, I was just carefully listening to both sides of the discussions, and I have a few contributions to make. It is true that, look, what Doc is talking about here, ideally stands. But when it comes to political conflicts, the dynamics of political conflicts
are entirely different.
Entirely very different. And the psychological position of the actors in that conflict is also very different, away from just any other, social conflict.
Right.
Now, you have a situation where even ahead of primaries, there are different interest groups with different promoters. You also have people contesting, and they are just contesting on faith. They really do not have any major backing of some godfathers elsewhere at the top.
Yeah.
Now, in the event of conflict politically, there are a number of factors. One can just be the mere fact that a person at a very influential position up there is very much so behind a particular candidate.
Right.
And that in itself sparks confusion at the grassroots.
Okay.
And sometimes that kind of confusion is not targeted at whosoever you have sponsored to contest. It is expected to yield a conflict that will escalate in a manner that gives them the opportunity to target that particular person seated at the top and financing or influencing, your victory.
Yeah.
Okay. The other way can also happen, where the one who have got the backing of national people, big people, eventually loses an election.
Yeah.
And that also yields another conflict that can go a long way to cause you to lose even the seat. Right. So you have won your primaries, but you cannot win the general elections because of the multiplicity of players and the dynamics in there. Now, Doc made a very intelligent and important, suggestion, which my brother Mutalavo already supported, that it is important that in resolving these kind of conflicts, we get somebody with an understanding of grounds operations and the political dynamics within that climate. Perfect. Where I side with my brother Mutala and have my thoughts otherwise is the fact that when it comes to the resolution of these conflicts, in politics, our conflicts are hinged on interest. And the resolution of these conflicts by themselves becomes an avenue where one who even loses thinks that, okay, this is a second chance for me to cash out or to maximize that particular interest. How does that occur? Now, if, for example, after a very controversial primaries, you have won by, let's say, 50%, I have lost, but with a margin of just 1%, maybe I've garnered 49% of votes, you made just 50% of the votes. So you realize even though I have lost, but I have significant control of grounds in a manner and in proportions that can actually cause your defeat should my following and I decide to act otherwise. So if the president, for example, or some big people at the top were behind you, now is the time for me, in the course of resolving the issue, for me to make my negotiation for something. And you have people at the top compromising sometimes, and they think, okay, you know what? We know you have a significant portion of the ground. Bring the conflict to an end. Go in with your support. Make sure there is victory. But this is what we are giving you at the end of the day. Now, the problem here is if they bring in a neutral, apolitical person to come and mediate the conflict, chances are that we who are within political circles will not take you serious because we think that whatever bargain we could have had with some top hierarchy from the national level or regional level, we cannot have those discussions with you. Or even if we do, and you take it back to them, we do not trust them to operate on, the recommendations of your report. So that will become a very difficult thing. Rather, we can define neutrality within the party in terms of who supported who and who did not support who.
Okay.
So, for example, I am seated here, former deputy national organizer. There are other very top-notch officials of the NPP. So, if there is a problem in a certain constituency where I am not one of those who supported or is being on record as having pushed some support for a candidate or the other, it makes it then very important for me to go there rather as the neutral one. Right. Maybe as Doc is suggesting.
I get it.
So even though I am an internal person politically, but in that regard, I will go there and be viewed with some lessons of neutrality. And I think that will fit better into the kind of model Doc have actually is proposing. So it's a workable agenda, it's a workable model, but who becomes neutral, should be someone from within the party whom they know they can convey message to the presidency or to the higher hierarchy through, but who did not take sides in the conflict so happening there. Now, the angle of professionalism comes in because these politicians, in-house neutral persons, may not be experts in conflict resolution. That can then be a blunder because sometimes you don't need to take sides to create more problems in the course of solving situations. And I understand the position of Doc because, well, I've been a student of his institute, Kofi Annan. I graduated there. Doing my PhD again, my concentration has been on security and conflict. And so I understand the angle he's coming from. Now, being a politician too, I am going to say that what Doc proposed is significant to the extent that without expert knowledge in conflict situations, you cannot be sure that the psychology and complexities of people and the shadow players will be understood enough to be able to effectively resolve the issue. This is where you have people dressing, the top, and just at the nick of elections, there is a relapse in the situation. And at the end of the day, the mess you have suffered to curb must have then occurred. So I believe that we can have experts who can be part of the panel and be part of the committee, because over the period, we've honestly seen a lot of pretentious in-house conflict resolution, teams. They come and that they are either being sent by someone who has been at the center of the problem. I'll give an example in the case of the NPP. Ahead of the 2020 elections, we have packets of issues with our primaries. In some cases, there were accusations that some sitting MPs were protected. And some people even went the extra mile of dumping the blame on the then General Secretary, my boss, Mr. John Buedu. In fact, some of or most of those situations and allegations were actually not true. He had no hand in the elections, but depending on certain decisions NEC or National Council had to take, he had to convey the decision of National Council as the General Secretary. And in the end, the blame was put on him. Eventually, in trying to get a team to go and get these things resolved, the team again goes under the powers of the General Secretary. There were very constitutional arrangements. And in some of the cases, some aspirants refused to be a part of it because of issues of trust. But if we have apolitical people like Doc who are experts and they are part of the committee, one, there will be pre-session discussions and guidance, and he must have observed certain happenings in the course of proceedings, and I'm sure there will be review sessions even after the conflict resolution or mediation engagement, again to bring to fore some technicalities based on his observations to be able to ensure that eventually we have a hybrid system of professionalism and, politics in that kind of a resolution. So for me, I think that this is what we have to do. Realistically speaking, political conflicts are very difficult to completely resolve.
Right.
Okay, because beyond all the understanding, political conflicts create the kind of pain, especially in the event, and I have been through this personally. Okay, you go through a primaries, controversial primaries, people at the top, national, regional, joining forces with some factions in your constituency to ensure you lose. Then you end up winning with a landslide, and they feel that your victory by itself is an embarrassment upon them. So the next thing is what they can do to ensure that against public perception that you are winning your seat. And this was what happened actually to me in the Adolikeleo constituency. Okay. Then the same people start saying we are bringing in a team to resolve the situation. Okay. Now, the situation here is that I have already lost the seat as a result of the kind of conflict that happened and the role of some of these so-called big people. Maybe the situation could have been better if the model doc have proposed had come in. But of course, the mediation in Adolikeleo didn't go anywhere. We only pretended around each other. And at the end of the day, you, the victor in the primaries, loses an election everybody tips you to win because of internal issues. Okay? Some minister somewhere, some top hierarchy person somewhere, still finds a way of coming in at the end of the day that you must have solved the problem, still coming in to influence people that, look, we've done a cosmetic game, but make sure you campaign against him. Then they go back and sit in Accra quietly as though they know nothing about it. Do you think that if another election is happening today and there is a candidate whose candidature is being sponsored by these people, sitting here as Elvis Butter, I will support the person?
I get it.
No, I will go back and marshal my structures in the constituency to ensure that that person wins primaries but don't win general elections.
Okay.
So these are the dynamics, and so I think that I'm proposing
it's
a hybrid of in-house experts, in-house persons who understand the political climate and who also have some respect to be able to tame both sides, who hitherto were not seen as being part of the problem. Then we can have that industry experts coming in with technical knowledge. I think this is what's going to happen. But to conclude, the NPP for us as a party, and like Mutala said, usually orphan constituency elections do not carry very volatile situations compared to places with sitting MPs where it becomes a game of huge muscles and high stakes, because these are seats even the party will want to protect. Most of the orphan seats are mostly seats, even the party thinks that no matter what we do with any candidate, we may not be able to win. There are some seats you just know that you cannot win. And so usually, yes, the conflict situation is not as volatile. But then, cumulatively, there is actually no small conflict. The cumulative effect of all of that can undermine the +1 required to win the general elections. And so any serious political party treats the smallest of conflict situation, be it in orphan primaries or in parented constituencies, with utmost seriousness, because it has tendencies to undermine or create fragility in terms of the capacity of the party, to have the kind of unity required for a one-time victory.
Let me speak to Niama Amate, who is a lecturer in political science. He's joined us via Zoom. Let's speak his thoughts. Ni, good afternoon. Hello, Niama Amate. Please unmute.
Oh, sorry, I just unmuted. How are you? It's been a while.
Well, I'm fine, thank you. I hope you're fine too, sir.
Well, we can't complain. It's been good. We thank God.
Right. Now, generally, it appears that the elections with the orphan constituencies are not as exciting and as high stake, as with the parenting committees, isn't it? Where they have sitting MPs. What do you think accounts for this?
Well, yeah, I mean, let me first of all say good afternoon. And we all know, I mean, some of these orphan constituencies, as we call them, are areas that you really cannot say you're winning. I mean, the NPP knows, just as well as the NDC, that there are some constituencies that no matter what you do, they will never come to you. However, where the excitement will come in will be where may be your stronghold before, and then somehow it went off your hands, and so you want to reclaim. And that's where sometimes you have some excitement. But for now, I think we're experiencing what we all know will be the cause of the situation, which is the fact that there are no excitements. Yeah.
I see. Because, but, so if I'm a candidate who's interested in, say, I'll take a seat which is traditionally an ND seat, say, Ayawaso North or Ayawaso East, which is traditionally an NDC seat, what will be the motivation for an MPP person to say, well, even though it's an MDC seat traditionally, and looking at all the dynamics, it's not likely he'll come back to the MPP? What would be my motivation to spend so much money, you know, and go through all the rigorous campaigns and so on and so forth, in what you just want to be a parliamentary candidate? So typically, what really is the motivation of persons who contest those seats for their parties?
Well, first of all, you also want to be seen as a serious person in your party, and you want people to also see that you are also bringing to the table something that others might think is impossible. So you strive hard, you do what you have to do, pay monies, lobby, spend sleepless nights, do door to door, etc., etc. And then, yeah, I mean, and nobody goes into an election hoping that they will fail. Otherwise, why would you go?
But Honorable, you're not hoping to fail, but you know you will fail. This is a seat. I mean, it's like an NDC man going to say Bantama or Fomena or say Swame or any of those seats. What are you going to do there?
Yeah, but what we're saying is, no matter what you do, there will be people like Peter Amewu. Of the 26 seats in the voter NOT, you still have one Peter Amewu.
That's an outlier. I mean, that's an outlier. But I'm just saying, well, you please make your point. Make your point, please do.
Okay, so all I'm saying is that you want to make a name. That's one. Two, you want to convey to the party people that you are also bringing to the table things that people might think may be an impossibility, and so you're striving hard just to score and to make people see that, yes, I mean, you can make it. I mean, the point we referred to here is that the motivation should be that let me claim or reclaim this seat. Indeed, and I also understand you that, yeah, I mean, it's a huge mountain to climb if you're going as an NDC person to this Bantama area or wherever. But the thing is that you cannot have a party like NDC or NPP that will not field candidates in all areas. You just hoping against hope that you have the majority in parliament so you can have your way.
Yeah, but Mr. Mate, I know you know what I'm referring to. I mean, look, it is an impossibility. Maybe they have other ulterior motives. I mean, I'm sure there are other factors that are motivating these guys or these women. Well, when I say these guys, I mean it includes both male and female, for them to contest these seats. Otherwise, I don't understand. You know, and maybe the politicians would have to come and tell us why they find it attractive, you know, or they find it even necessary to go and contest this. But anyway, that's just by the by. I appreciate the perspective you're coming from. But my other question, my other question to you is this. Do you see the... Ni, are you there, sir?
I'm here.
I'm
here.
Okay. Now, do you see the Alan Kenejepong factor play out even in this orphan constituency elections or would see it play out properly, so-called, in constituencies where there are sitting MPs?
If you say playing out, meaning the Kennedy Japan.
There were individuals who supported Alan. These guys, some of them say they are back into the Bamia camp, or now they were the Bamia camp, and I can give you two names. Sylvester Tete, English amount from, he was with Alan. Alan decides to leave the NPP. He's back into the MP. He's back into, so he has left the Alan camp and is now with the Bamia camp. You look at someone like Madame Catherine Afeku Evuale Jura. It's an NDC seat. She says she's going to go back. She wants to go. She wants to contest that seat because the NPP is won it before. But she was with the Alan. But she's no more with Alan. She says she's now with the Bamia camp. Do you think that these things would play out as they go knocking on the doors of the delegates for them to give them the nod to lead, to become the parliamentary candidate, or you think it wouldn't play out at all? I mean, there are many other factors that the delegates will look out for, and the Alan Kennedy Japan thing won't really be an issue.
Well, no matter how you look at it, those things are factors that will definitely show their heads. I mean, when those persons went to back Alan, some of them backed Alan because they felt that Alan was the hope. But eventually, when Alan set up the movement, whose symbol is the butterfly, they thought, no, they needed to come back to the NPP because they had it in mind that, although Alan is although Alan was their person, going out of the party, the NPP party, was not part of the arrangement. So they came back. But there are others who, of course, like the Boabins, who had gone with Alan, and the party then gave them the marching orders. What we're seeing is that you gradually having splinter groups, okay? From what we saw Baumia paying a visit to Kennedy Japan and all that, we haven't really seen a serious word coming from these persons to show total commitment. And that, for me, is worrying. I think we should be seeing things like, oh yeah, we're committed, oh yeah, this and that. Or maybe they're all waiting for who is picked as the vice for Baumia before they begin showing serious commitment. But what we're saying is that you surely will have those splinter groups if the NPP does not handle these situations well, like they did giving these persons the marching orders, which I believe was a wrong move, because I felt they could have called them, they could have sat them down, they could have had a chat. After all, the thing is about numbers, and for a party that is claiming to go beyond the eight-year term given each of them, I think they should be more magnanimous, more open-hearted and open-armed in order to, have them for a chat. And so what we're facing now is a situation where, if it is not well handled, we will definitely have splinter groups. If I say we will, not that I belong to any of these parties, but the fact of the matter is that, being the major parties in Ghana, the NPP will definitely have these splinter groups, obviously.
I see. Let me also talk to Dr. Bernard Osetutu, who is a political marketing strategist or consultant. Let me pick his thoughts on what he makes of this particular issue that we're talking about. Doc, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. My understanding is that you are also in the Ashanti region.
Yes. Moro, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you
Good
too.
afternoon to fellow panelists.
Right.
Good afternoon to Ni Amate, my good friend.
Right.
Very good afternoon to you.
Right.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah. Now, whilst you're on, I'm sure you heard the conversation we have started, and we're saying that the Alan Ken Dr. Bamia factor would definitely play out. Well, some have actually argued that it would definitely play out even in these elections for constituency, for orphan constituencies. Do you agree?
You see, the conversations as I picked it, I want to believe that, you see, this issue about internal party, unity is very important. And when it gets to that point where it appears that people are harboring some level of sentiment regarding certain happenings, which of course probably didn't help in.
Hello.
People may be hello.
Yes, I'm listening, Doc.
Hello, can you hear?
I can hear you, Doc. Please go ahead.
Yes, so it may appear that yes, people may pretend to be working, but deep within them, not really working as it is supposed to be. The issue of pretense in politics is dangerous, and it could harm, the fiber or the DNA of any political party. And that is why I would agree, with earlier speakers on the issue about the fact that political parties, especially the two major political parties, the NDC and the MPP, should find ways of dealing with internal issues. Earlier, I heard one of the speakers talking about how to deal with internal party conflicts. It's very important, all right? And what it means is that going forward, any candidate, who goes into a contest and then wins, other fellow contestants will not see that person as an enemy, or probably might have done something led to their failure. And that if the person is coming to join hands with the winning team, and his or her cohorts, are doing it, with that kind of love.
Doc, I think we have a connection challenge with you. I don't know exactly where you are in the Ashanti region, but we definitely have a connection challenge to you. But I think that he was contributing to the issue about post-elections conflict resolution and how, if it's not done properly, some of these things, there'll be what I call like a snowballing effect. You know what I mean? Because like we're talking about what's happening, what could possibly happen in the internal elections where Ken Ejiofor would have an interest, even though Alan is not with the MPP, but he would have an interest. You know what I mean? Exactly. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is now the flag bearer of the MPP. He would definitely have an interest, and so it's who interest is going to be supreme, and like you say, it's going to play out even more strongly in the parented constituency. That's exactly the parented constituencies, because that's where the action is. For instance, we've already heard Ken Ejiofor say that he's taking a seat like Bantama very personally. 2 reasons: because Ralph Ejiofor, his younger brother, is contesting that seat. Secondly, because he personally has an axe to grind with what's the name with Asenso, and since he made those pronouncements, we've had Asenso go on media platforms to say, well, I don't have any problem with Ken. If he has a problem with me, I don't have a problem with him. Clearly, you can tell that it's, I kind of cry. You know what I mean? Because this is Ken Ejiofor we're talking about. So that kind of thing. So, Bernard, unfortunately, I think we've lost you we've lost you to poor reception. Let me go back to Mr. Amate to also continue. Mr. Amate, are you still there, sir?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so unfortunately, I was talking to your other colleague, but due to reception challenges, we've lost him. I'm going to come back to you on this issue about the Alan, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Ken. I mean, we can say it without doubt that these personalities will have an interest even as the party, undertakes this orphan constituency elections, won't they?
Oh yeah, definitely they will.
Okay.
And they will, because at the end of the day, you want the numbers in Parliament. Supposing it's a win for Bawumia nationally, he will need the majority in Parliament so he can carry out his projects. So
but not just the majority, not just the majority in Parliament, but he's looking for loyal majority in Parliament. Loyal people who
Obviously.
are loyal, people he can trust.
Obviously,
Yeah.
and if the Constitution also backs at you, asking you to pick up your ministers, majority of your ministers from Parliament, then it means that you need to show interest in what is going on. And definitely, you added loyal. Obviously, there should be loyal partners. Otherwise, you have people, and it's been said that not all persons who actually show their teeth at you are being sincere with their laughters, and that's why yes, you definitely have heard about that song, Tontonti Yenum Sansu Yefadwi. So you are interested in this, but you definitely want the loyal persons to be around you, so you can have your projects, being done well.
All right. So please hang on a minute. Let me go to Maxwell Nkansa. He's in Idodo. I'm told there's something happening there as a reporter. Maxwell Nkansa, talk to me. What's happening?
Okay, so currently I am at the Idodo constituency where the MPP are electing their candidate to lead the party in the constituency level towards the upcoming 2024 general election. About 1,308 delegates are expected to cast their vote. I will engage both candidates, who is Manaf Soa and Neil Lante Banaman. According to them, they both believe that at the end of the voting, they will both be declared winner, which we know one of them will be declared winner. I can count about 30 police personnel on the ground, making sure that there's peace and order. Just that there's a little misunderstanding between some delegate and the police and other parties, because some of their names, some of the delegates say their names are not in the register, which is bringing a little confusion. But I think the police and the EC are able to solve the issue as I speak. Voting is still ongoing, and I can tell you the peace and order here at the Diodo constituency here. Moro.
All right, thank you very much for that report. I'll come back to Nia Amate Fio, who is a lecturer at UPSA in political science, and he's been shedding his perspective on the issue of some of the party bigwigs or the presidential candidates who contested the presidential aspirants who contested in the recently held presidential candidates contest, and the kinds of interest that will be showing in what's happening in these elections. We lost Bernard Tutubuahene, but we'll call him. We'll raise him on the line. We'll speak to him over the phone because he's having some reception challenges. Now, Nia, I'll come back to you now. Nia, are there any particular seeds that for you would be of interest? You would want to watch out to see how it plays out. Are you there, sir?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, are there any particular seeds that are of interest to you? You want to watch out and see who would be. I mean, if you take the place of Lejo Kuku, for instance, was it the NHI guy? Wasn't it? I've forgotten this guy. Oh, yes, Bernardo Koboy. He wants to stage a comeback. He was there. He lost in 2020. He wants to stage a comeback. You're looking at a place like Kole Klote. It will be interesting to see whether Valentino Ninoy, who has been there before, he won the primaries, but he was disqualified. Had to go he wants to go independent. He's now back into the party. He wants to stand. I'm sure there are quite again Adenta Akusia Menu. She's called what's the name of? She's called Cookie. Was it Cookie? It's Cookie or right? Is it Cookie or Kiki or something? Yeah, there are quite a number of these. Again, Adjoa Safo, Dome Kwabenya. So. I don't know where you stand. Are there any seats that you have any particular interest in?
Exactly the point. I'm interested in all that you've mentioned. I mean, let's take a look at Nilante van der Boy's former constituency.
Right.
These two gentlemen are sure each of them is making the V for victory sign at the end of the day. And his cousin, Bannerman, feels, well, it's now my turn. And especially when Opana is no more there. So, I mean, let's look at Adwoa Safo, for instance. I mean, people felt she left them in the lurch when they really needed her most. But you can never say, because even the NDC former MP for that area had said that Adwoa Safo's father is such a dominant force in that area that nobody, well, he didn't say nobody, but he said for them to beat Adwoa Safo will be a very tough task. And Ninoy has a very interesting story to tell. For him to have gone independent, managed to come back, and then had made strides. Okay. I mean, and you could tell in all of these areas, money is really making the talk. And we're scared, honestly, how much our partyism had been monetized. And it's quite a worrying phenomenon. And we talk about it so leisurely, as if it is now a situation where money is being given a seat to have a permanent place amongst us in our party politics, and it's a bad thing if we don't start, our talk against it, and to make it become pragmatic. The fight against this monetization of our politics, I think it will really ruin. And you know what I'm talking about. So we should be careful. And I'm saying this because I'm sure you've also heard how much monies are being, thrown around. And I keep telling my people, look, if you accept a coin, I've heard politicians telling the delegates and the electors, look, when people bring money, take it, but don't vote for them. I'm saying don't take it and don't vote for them. Because if you take it, you have no moral right to demand what promises they had given you for the promises to be pragmatized or to be materialized. What I'm saying in effect is that let us stop this monetization thing. Look, when the presidential aspirants went to have their elections, it was a sordid sight. For you to hear them say, oh, menya 300 cities were way camp, and I went to 50, and your national mommy 50. I mean, I don't understand this, honestly to God. And we must stop it. It is not the best thing at all. We must stop it.
Okay. All right. That's fine. We're getting some very interesting shots of this very thing that you're talking about. So, Bright, if it's ready, let's play it. And then after we'll go to Adams Musa, Upper West, right? Upper West regional correspondent, to tell us how his place is also. So watch this. Let's watch this first before we go to Adams Musa. Okay, great. So let's now go to Adams Musa. Adams Musa, good afternoon. How is it going?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, where are you and how is it going?
Well, currently I'm in the Upper West region. I'm in Wa precisely, and that's the center of attraction in the Upper West region. Why so is that the municipal chief executive is contesting the 2020 parliamentary candidates. And the reason being that the one municipal chief executive, Isaku Tahir Mumin, is going for the third time, and the 2020 parliamentary candidate is going for the second time. So it's a tight competition in the West Central, and of course, West Central has the largest electoral college, over 1,000+ delegates compared to the other 7 constituencies. And in the Upper West region, we have 7 constituencies where election is taking place. We talk of the West Central, the West East constituency, and the West East constituency is another interesting area for NPP, because since the creation of West East as a constituency, the New Patriotic Party has had a member of parliament there twice. So they are looking forward to get the seat back for the New Patriotic Party. So it's another area that the Upper West region, particularly NPP, is looking at to, the West East constituency. Okay. And there too, we are looking at the former regional secretary, Alito Isaac, versus the 2020 parliamentary candidate and the district chief executive. So it's another place that the Upper West region is looking at. Then if we go to Laura, Anthony Aboifa Cabo, who was the member of parliament before 2020, who lost in 2020, is another area that we are looking at. So the Olora constituency generally is not a seat for the New Patriotic Party because out of confusion that led to the New Patriotic Party snatching the seat from the NDC. But of course, per their calculations, if they are able to get a good parliamentary candidate, they may at least increase their chances, but not winning the seat for the Laura constituency. So you have the former Northern Development Authority, Deputy CEO, who has just been sacked, Stephen Engman, going for the district chief executive. So that constituency, so we are looking at the former Northern Development Authority, Stephen Engman, and the district chief executive. And if we come to Laura too, we have the daughter of Salifu Dagati contesting the seat, Aisha Salifu, against the district chief executive, lawyer Nico Soyiri. So we are also looking at, and of course, Laura is another interesting area, though the seat is not for the New Patriotic Party. But in fact, monetization is what is high in the Laura constituency because we have seen some motorcycles display, and it is alleged that is one of the aspirants who brought the motorbike there just to lay out delegates in voting for the particular candidate. So Laura, the West Central is another area that monetization is high in this particular elections. But generally it's calm across all the 7 constituencies, except the Fiema Buse Isa constituency, where we have some increased number of police personnel. We do not know why there is that increase, but we understand that they perceive that there may be violence in the Fiema Buse Isa constituency. But you could say generally that the election has been peaceful and voting is smooth across. We've not had a situation where names are missing, people are not agreeing to some of the delegates. It's generally calm across all the police station report we are picking from the 7 area orphan constituencies in the Upper West region. So we are looking up to 2 to determine who will carry the day. And in all, we have about 4 district chief executive contestants across the 1 West, 1 East, Sisala West, Jirapa, and the Laura. These are all areas that we have district chief executive are contesting. So the Upper West region is cool. We are watching the clock to 2 o'clock. We'll see whether we will get the same people who represent the New Patriotic Party in 2020 going again, particularly in West East, West Central, and of course, these 2 are areas that we talk of is an area that the New Patriotic Party is looking up to. So that is the situation in Upper West region.
Okay, Adams, thank you. Thank you very much for that report. We can now go to Honorable Niyama Martin, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Good. We'll try and raise Bernard Tutu as well because we lost him whilst we're talking to him to poor connection. Now, I told you about a video that I thought you should have a look. Watch this.
That's a lot of money. Oh.
You need more.
Yeah, I need more money. Show me more money.
What can I show to you?
And you got all this just today?
Just today. Just a few hours. Because I sacrificed my money.
Yeah. A bag full of cash. Wow. But I have my money.
Let me ask you a picture. One look. Dia muna mention. Sorry.
Being a delegate is...
That's a lot of money, oh.
You need more.
Yeah, I need more money. Show me more money.
What can I show to you?
And you got all this just today?
Yesterday. Just a few hours. Because I sacrificed money.
Yeah. A bag full of cash. Wow.
I'll let you.
You need more.
Yeah, I need more money. Show me more money.
What can I show to you?
And you got all this just today?
Yesterday. Just a few hours. Because I sacrificed money.
Yeah. A bag full of cash.
Certainly and definitely good time for delegates. You just saw it. I mean, I don't need to say anything more. So let me come back in house. You actually want to make a comment about Upper West, because that's your region actually.
Okay, so yeah, so Upper West is my region, and interesting developments there. You know, it's quite a smaller region with 11 constituencies.
Yeah.
Yes, we have members of parented constituencies currently are 3, leaving out 7 constituencies. But my constituency, the Nadoli Kelio constituency, is not having primaries.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to quickly state that the dynamics in Upper West are such that places like West Central, places like Laura and Jirapa are very key, interesting places to watch out to, with very interesting issues, you know, coming around the elections. I mean, I just want to make, I'm sure it was an oversight on the part of your correspondent on the issue of the daughter of Salifu Dagate contesting.
Okay.
The daughter of Salifu Dagate is not contesting Laura, she's rather contesting in Jirapa.
Okay.
So she is going against the incumbent MCE, Honorable Nicholas, Soyiri.
Right.
And this morning I was just listening to developments there, and it's been interesting. So there we had packets of violence earlier in the day, but that got controlled. There were allegations that the daughter of Salifu Dagate had earlier promised delegates a tricycle each. And that promise have not been delivered. And so to be able to play around it, he brought about 3 tricycles at the voting grounds just to exhibit as evidence that if you vote wisely, you're actually going to have what I promised you. And so this was what created the confusion, as the MCE's camp insisted that those tricycles must be moved away from the voting ground. So that is a Jirapa issue, not a Laura issue. The Laura issue is rather where we have the immediate, past former NDA deputy CEO, my senior brother Stephen Engwen, contesting with the MCE, who is also a very close friend. In Wa East, earlier in the day, that is where we have the former regional secretary, the incumbent MCE, very top guys who have all served this party in high positions at the regional and in some cases even the national level, are actually contesting. And it's clearly an interesting development. But critically, it's Wa Central, where we have Haji Muawudu. She was a 2020 parliamentary candidate. She came in to contest the primaries against the now MCE, who was already at the time a 2-term parliamentary candidate, and defeated him in the primaries. And so this time round, the MCE is coming back, and it's just a 2-horse race. I mean, admittedly, there are other numbers, but it's a 2-horse race there. And so it's going to create bigger tensions, because the kind of deep wounds these two factions have had, I don't see how we're going to resolve the issue should verdict go either ways. And so it immediately comes back to the resolution issues we're having. So you realize that immediately the West Central seat is lost in advance of the 2024 elections. I must be very honest with you that the kind of cracks, it is mirroring the kind of situation that happened to me, and why, even though all pollsters and analysis pointed to what was supposed to be my victory in 2020, but actually became a loss, was because of some of these deeper cracks with powerful national players, behind each candidate. So it brings us back to the issue of the resolution and how genuine it's even going to be. And so clearly these are critical issues, but I can immediately make some guesses for you in Upper West region with the kind of analysis so far, the kind of dynamics. So you have a place like Jirapa, for example, where again the daughter of Salifu Dagate is very much on the ground, but with a particular deficiency that may not allow candidates see her as a good candidate for the May election. You cannot be contesting a critical election such as this, and you don't understand your own local dialect. Okay. But it is alleged by those on the grounds, including a lot of delegates, that my sister Hajia, a Dagati woman, is unable to communicate in her language, and so throughout her campaign, a lot of what she says is rather being interpreted. If that is true, I think that it may undermine her chances, especially given that the MCE she's contesting against is a very calm personality, a respected lawyer, and is touted loudly for his level of humility. I think that this language issue might just be a situation that will further enhance the chances of Nicolas Soyir. So I'm tipping him. If you go to DBI, I'm still tipping the 2020 candidate to win against my senior brother, Lawyer Kele, because if you look at the dynamics over the years in DBI, you have the candidates of both NDC and NPP coming from the western side of the constituency and not the eastern side in most of the instances. And so at the moment, if you look at the NPP, you then realize that the constituency chairman and most of his executives, again, are from the west. So it was in 2020 we had the current DCE for DBI, that is the Fieme Buseisa constituency, coming from the eastern part of the constituency, which is the Kajuperi area. And so what it means is that they are likely going to retain him, for that kind of a balance strategically. In order to be able to make an impact in the elections. That might work. If that works, it might work against lawyer Mujib Kele, who undoubtedly is a fine gentleman, but I am scared that these kind of factors may undermine his chances. And so I'm tipping the DCE, Honorable Imoro Sanda, to win, given that he's been able to, over the years, maintain his gravitas in the eastern belt and have significantly penetrated in the western belt. Meanwhile, it is an interesting factor to know that there are just 6 constituency differences between the polling stations in the west and the polling stations in the east. The difference is just 6. So if he's able to marshal about 90% of his backyard, which is the eastern part, and maximize votes in just about between 5 to 10 polling stations in the western belt, then he will carry the day against Mujib Kele. So I'm tipping him highly. So clearly, these are Laura will be a tough one. West Central will be a tough one as well to call for now.
Okay, let me go to KB Nyako now. He's in Medina. KB Nyako is a reporter there. KB, what's up? What's happening?
Oh, okay. Currently, I'm at Medina, Lankwantana, Medina constituency, and where we are doing the program is Presec. And as at now, delegates, total delegates supposed to vote is 1,610. And then we have 4 people who are, trying to get the position to contest for the 2024 election. And then as at now, we have here Robert Lamte. Yes, he is the number 1 position. And then Ahmed Diallo. And then number 2, and then Padmo Bafo Ajapon, and Solomon Boating. And then as at now, the voting is about to end, and then we focus on the counting. So the announcement you receive is that they will close the voting 2 o'clock. So we are all waiting to see what will happen. Then there are some allegations that some of them are paying some money to the delegates. And then that money is 400. One is paying 400, and others are paying. The other one is paying 100 cedis. And then they are even talking that how those who are contesting is about 4 people, and then only 2 people will be able to pay. And then they heard that other people are paying 600 and 500. And how come they have been paying 400 and 200? And it's not good at all for them. So some of them leave the scene. And so as at now, that's the information here. So we are here waiting for us to get the counting to commence. So after that, any information that will come, we make sure that you report for the listeners and then the viewers to hear what is going on at the Lankwantana Madina constituency. So as at now, the security is very good here. The atmosphere is charged for the election. So we are all waiting to see what will ever happen, and then whatever happens, we let the listeners and then the viewers to hear whatever is going. I don't know whether you have any follow-up question to me.
Okay. All right. I guess you said it all. I want to thank you very much for your report. Yes, I'm going to now come to Duke. There's something you want to say about Ododo.
Yes. Per the video we saw some few minutes ago. Now one can sense that there is tension brewing in Ododo. Why so? You have 50 police personnel per the report by your correspondent. So it tells you that the police have picked up some intelligence, some information, that there could be something in the offing. Now, looking at the atmosphere, they've analyzed the situation, and then they have deployed as much as 50. So that tells us that, okay, they are monitoring the situation. They've also done their part in terms of their role in advancing men to the field. Now, when you look at the video on the alleged money sharing, now one would ask, so how does this tie to security? How is it a threat to security? It is in a sense that now you have a teeming population, being the youth, unemployed. Now you have only a section, okay, the idea is only a section that belongs to Party A or Party B benefiting from these, kinds of events. Now this is likely to be a pull or push factor for some youths to go or join in some armed groups just because of the anger that is being felt within. Where are these monies coming from? Okay, and why is it that only a section are enjoying it? How about using these monies for national development, for we to get jobs that can pay well, so we can become self-sufficient?
But these monies are not that substantial. These are 200, 300 cities.
You may say so, but we saw an envelope. 200 times 10 is what? That's okay. 2,000. Now, some people go to work, and at the end of the month, the salary is up to 2,000.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about winning elections, not developing this.
Actually, the guy himself holding the money said just 2 hours. He said he made that money just 2 hours.
Yeah, for that kind of amount of money. Yeah. Now, when we look at issues such as this, and then we want to downplay it, then we are creating more tension. Okay. Now, earlier on, I stated whether orphan or not, I would not sit here and say we should not treat this as a
high stakes election.
Exactly. Now we've seen Ododo. We've seen the northern part of Ghana, or specifically what our brother mentioned in the report.
Actually, you're right.
If you
look at a place like Ododo, where Nilanti van der Poel says he's not going to run again, and where the MPP now feels that now that Nilanti van der Poel is not going to run again, it gives them an extra advantage. There's definitely going to be tension. And also remember that there's a guy called Nilanti Bannerman. This is about his third time. Who is actually
cousin to Nilanti van der Poel.
He's actually their cousins. This is the third time he's given the seat a shot. So there's definitely bound to be some tension in that constituency. So I guess the point you make about making this a sweeping statement by saying that orphan constituencies are not usually or typically high stakes may not necessarily be true.
There's no small conflict.
There's no small conflict. So please go ahead.
Yeah. So we need to look at that and first measures. Now this offers the opportunity for institutions such as CSOs and then the National Election Task Force to also pick one or two from these events that are happening.
Okay.
Right. Now, this will just give them the idea as to how to quickly deploy, how to pick intelligence and react, and even for they themselves, what kind of preventive measures have they put in place, mechanisms. You need all these things holistically looking at across the institution so we can have a peaceful, whether orphan or national elections, especially 2024 is very critical.
Okay. I get that. All right. So in case you just joined us, we're bringing you a live coverage of the NPP's Orphan Constituency elections. It's happening in 111 constituencies across the length and breadth of this country. The other ones have been put on hold. The other constituencies have been put on hold, apparently because there are some issues that have still not been resolved. And so when we spoke to Ivan Sinima, who is the Director of Research and Elections for the NPP, says those issues are still are still being looked at. I was actually wondering, though, why these issues have been so difficult to deal with. I mean, you would have imagined that these issues would have been dealt with a long time ago, even before today, so that the elections in those constituencies can come on. Remember that in January, the parented constituencies are going to take place. Constituency elections are going to take place. So are they, for instance, going to combine both? You know, because 137 out of 111, that's almost about what? About 26, thereabout. Yeah, 26 constituencies, plus an extra 130, perhaps 8. Because of the independent, because of formula.
Yeah, formula.
That's a tall order for the party, isn't it?
I just want to, that is very true, because some of these situations are so delicate that if you want to rush to hold elections there, and like from the conflict perspective, we are already saying that, look, we do not think there is anything called small conflict anywhere because of the tendency of escalation. And let us recall that
I'm going to beg of you to rudely interrupt, not deliberately.
That's fine.
Because, you know, we're talking to Bernard Tutu, but we lost him. We've have him back
that's
on the line. Yes.
Okay.
Bernard, it's good to have you back.
Yes, thank you, Mo.
Yeah. So you were talking about the importance of resolving conflict after elections. Otherwise, it will play out and it would, you know, there will be a snowballing effect, you know, down the line.
Yes. So up to that point, what I was trying to say is this. You see, going into any election, your priority should be how to keep the party united, you know, after the election. And so you don't do things or you don't set rules and regulations that probably will one day lead to, you know, some kind of confrontations and anger and all that. Now, so I believe that the two major political parties going forward, you know, need to have these things in mind. Now, with regards to as to whether it is going to play with the orphan constituencies or not, it all depends on how some of these conflicts are resolved once they are created. All right. Now, the point still remains that yes, we know that when deep cracks exist in a party, you know, it becomes a bit difficult, you know, for anybody to attempt to mend it. But then it will depend on the approach to which, you know, that attempt is made. And so I want to agree to the fact that yes, issues of personalities involved in conflict resolutions are very important. I.e., you don't expect that somebody who was part of a system that created pain for a person or a party will be involved in a conflict resolution. But rather you bring people with credibility, people whose minds are clear, people who are independent, probably within or outside the party, you know, to be able to lead some of these negotiations and to make sure that the fielding parties come together, you know, to drink from one cup. And that would be very important. I also want to believe, you know, Moro, going forward. You see, I think earlier on we were asking a question about this issue about communal, you know, by-elections or not that. I see that there is some kind of contradiction, you know, with the formula issue. All right. Now, what it means is that if this kind of controversy or contradiction is not dealt with by the party, and then they make any attempt trying to impose, powers that be on the communal issue, I think that it will be a difficult issue for the NPP party. Again, you see, with the issue that he asked me, Amate, he responding to the fact that at any point in time, there would be one Amewu coming out, with regards to the orphan constituencies and whether a candidate, from the MPP, going to contest a place like Swami, against Muntaka will be possible or it will not be possible. You see, these are issues of calculation, and it has to do with issues of strategy. Now, for me, if you are picking a candidate in an orphan constituency, it goes beyond the popularity of the candidate. It goes beyond.
Okay. Hello?
Sorry, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. So there are certain calculations that must be put together. A, B, C, D, as many as you can, put together to determine, who you are pitting against the incumbent, from the other side. Now, if you are able to do that, yes, of course, I believe that NPP has been able to go to the northern part of Ghana, the then 3 northern regions, to wrestle power with the NDC. And as it is now, it's almost 50% against 50%. And I know that there were some very strong constituencies that the NPP had taken, from the NDC. I think in 2020. And the NDC is also doing everything possible to take back these 3, constituencies. All right. Now, what went wrong on the side of the NDC for them to lose those, 3 parliamentary seats? Probably because the candidates who were put there, in terms of their value, in terms of what they brought to the party, their level of unity, being able to unite not just people from their own internal circle, but also people around the constituency, pulling even from, the opposition camp, is something that can, make a candidate valuable and then probably be in the position to compete and wrestle power from, an opposition power. All right. So for me, the candidate that you are pitching against the other arm is very important. And so when you look at the scientific calculations, across the world, you will see that sometimes the person is not even really a party member. But for the fact that that person wields some kind of authority within the constituency, they found a way of bringing him, just as the MPP did when they wanted to choose Bawumia. All right, they realized that in Bawumia, we can have a very strong candidate who one day will help us, win an election, be in the position to help us to govern, and also be in the position to also take us, our feet cannot reach. And that is exactly what Bawumia has been able to do, since 2008 up to now. All right. So for me, and for the things that I have seen, and the literature that I've read, and the experiences I've gathered within the political context of Ghana, I believe that whether it be a constituency, executive, a regional executive, whether it be a parliamentary candidate, a presidential candidate, or even a vice presidential candidate, what the party must do is more strategic in terms of their choices, rather than, walking along the periphery and just picking candidates, and then bringing them or imposing them on the constituency. So I think that we need to, the major political parties, yes, I think one of the panelists was talking about professionalism, all right? yes, very important. And Moro, you agree with me in a number of discussions that we've had, that you see the issue of professionalism in party politics in Ghana, is very important, especially within this era. All right, we've gone past, that situation where, those days that we needed macho men, to go and fight and wrestle power. We've gone past that. We've gone past situations where people were using names to win an election. We've gone past that. All right, this time it is about professionalism. This time it is about strategy, and it is about not just strategy, scientific strategy and calculation.
Okay.
And so that type of eye, that type of, mindset is what you require. All right. Obviously, I think that, when it comes to party politics.
Hello, Doc. I think we've lost Dr. Bernard Oseti too, unfortunately. But, so I'll get a concluding remarks from my colleagues who are here, my resource persons who are
not
here.
really know anything, training and development.
Right.
So I am believing that, yes, I know that there are towers, in the studio.
Okay.
But this is an advice that probably they need to consider going forward. And I think that with this, politics in Ghana will assume a different dimension, and it will mean the development of, democracy in Ghana.
All right, Doc, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us on our coverage of the NPP's, Orphan Constituency elections. Thank you. Have a good day, sir. So let me take Ni Amate Fio's concluding remarks as well. Ni, what do you have to say, sir? What's your concluding remarks? Okay, we've lost him, unfortunately. Okay, so that's fine. So I'll get the concluding remarks from my friend Elvis Buta and Duke. Okay, all right. So Elvis is going to be here, and Duke will take leave of us at some point. But so you just heard what he said.
Yeah.
But were you the one on the floor, or was Duke?
No, I think we were.
You were the one on the floor. Okay, so there was something that what's his name? I think it was Bernard was saying that you wanted to respond to, because my issue had to do with how do you call it, what are the unseen hands? In fact, okay, let me put it this way. Dr. Mahmoud Bamia will be very much interested in this. And he would definitely be interested in who emerges as a parliamentary candidate for these seats, because he just doesn't want to be president, but he also wants the majority in parliament.
Very loyal.
And he wants exactly very loyal. Already I'm just reading something on one of our platforms where I'm told the elections in Evaluate has been put on hold. And guess what? Catherine Afeku is already complaining that it's been put on hold because somebody is pulling the strings somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? There's already suspicions. Yeah. Also because of the camp she was before she joined Dr. Mahmoud Bamia. How's the party going to deal with all of these?
Yes, so these are the practical effects of, who is coming from which camp, who is behind who. And remember, I made mention that these things are largely hinged on who is a powerful person at the top pulling what string in favor of who.
Yeah.
And so these are clearly things we cannot do without. And we were just having a conversation around this Fomena issue. We're having a conversation around the situation of Baumia's flag bearer now and what his interest should be. So let me quickly just address the issue of the constituencies that have been put on hold, not only Fomena. Okay. So you see, I was just making an analysis that there are genuine conflict situations in some of them that if care is not taken and we want to host elections now, the kind of violent explosion we are going to have will have a telling on national security. That is one.
Right.
And as a democratic party, we are minded about the security of the state, and we do not want to host primaries and end up losing some lives of precious Ghanaians. That is number one. Number two, not all of them fall within this category. a good number of them are also on hold, not because there is any conflict situation, but for strategic purposes.
Okay.
Every political party have got what the strategy is in respect of how you want to win your elections.
True.
And so we have a few constituencies which we have put on hold for strategic reasons. At the end of the day, there will either be a popular acclamation of some people, or you will have some people going unopposed, or even if there is elections, there will be an understanding of what the terms and conditions should be, such that at the end of the day, we will be able to win in those constituencies, take those seats. And so you realize that some of these constituencies include some swing constituencies where the NDC have won in some instances, and in some other instances, the NPP have won. Yes, so there can be very strategic reasons in these kind of times. And of course, we cannot be talking about, I can't be saying everything here.
No, I get it.
Now, in the case of Fomina, yes, the dynamics are clear. And so we all know the position of the NPP in this case. Very compromising situation, but the best bet for the NPP now is to be able to manage tensions, manage the expectations of interest groups, and in the end come out with a unanimous decision of who should run that seat for us, because we cannot pretend, go for a quick primaries in Fomina, have a candidate, and then the man who was once with us, whom at the end of the day we parted ways with, but who has become a cornerstone, a great one, of course. You see, you'll be shooting yourself in the foot. Let us agree that these political organizations are human institutions. We can always err. It doesn't mean you must take glue with your pride. And there is no way, if we do not adequately resolve the issues in Fomina, there is no way under the circumstances you go and get a candidate who will easily win that seat. So it only makes sense that as a learning political organization, that we take a step back and look at how we can engage all stakeholders to come out with a candidate. If that candidate has to be the current member of parliament who happens to be my good friend and classmate at Kofi Annan in 2018 when we were doing our security course, so be it. If he has to be the one, but then his emergence should not escalate the anger and the tensions of others who were not against him. So these are the kind of behind the scenes conversations happening. And if he has to be the one constitutionally, we have the option to waiver the 2-year membership thing, because that has nothing to do with the 1992 constitution. It is our party constitution's provision. And the National Council, which is the highest decision-making body.
You are also looking at what signals you are sending across, because there'll be a lot more independent candidates that will be coming out of these elections.
So we are handling every situation. We are handling them on a case-by-case basis. Frankly speaking, in some constituencies, we don't care. Others, we care. It will depend on the peculiarities surrounding each. But I'm saying that the National Council have got the powers of our constitution to exercise discretion on these kind of things. And we did it even in presidential elections. The example of now our flag bearer and vice president is an example. In 2008, in 2007, they had to waiver that provision to get
if it were somebody else, they may not have done
so there are strategic
it's about the
reasons.
situation at hand.
It's the situation at hand and the overall strategy of the party.
I get it. I get it. So I'm going to thank you very much, but you're not going to leave any as yet. Duke Docker, he will leave us. Dr. Duke Docker will leave us because he has other things to engage in. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, there will be another host, so a different face, but Elvis will still be here.
Election Central.
More than 80% of global trade is carried by sea. Most of the products we consume daily travel through ports, making them a key link in the global supply chain. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority is committed to ensuring the enhancement, resilience and sustainability of port infrastructure and maritime trade. Get to know which vessel is bringing your goods, how much duty you are required to pay, and how quickly you can clear your goods from the ports of Ghana. We ask the relevant questions and elicit responses from the appropriate authorities. We interact with you via our social media platforms and put your queries across to the expert. Iron Port shows this and every Sunday live on Measure TV at 5:30 p.m. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by and powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Iron Port, transparency in doing business and building a nation.
A call to duty. A call to solidarity. A call to patriotism. The nation responds. On the nation's behalf, we heed the call. We are IMG, and we are voter bound for God and country. Join us, support the relief efforts for victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage.
Wapomudin enunti enadwumedi ayatuni din say your health your wealth ewo homa mediani ohima pokuya hwenie me na dani den nyina medi dwumedi mu chiame me ne me Dr. Wahab Agbeve ena dani den nyina yetena se etwetwe nkomo na de yesi ye ba bekasa fa pause ane pause